Yeah. And on the outside, you would think, oh, that would never be me. You know, like I would be able to find
Say that until
myself.
you're there,
I
man.
would be able to stand up for myself. I would be able to, no, that is not how this works. It is not that simple.
It's just not.
Like I said, they're very good at what they do, and it will mess your brain up.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
One of the most misunderstood things in the entire world is why people stay in situations that are abusive. I think you can look at any time someone's ever come out with their story of being in an abusive situation or an abusive relationship or with someone that was just toxic. There's always a crowd that questions them, that looks at the victim and says, why did you stay? Why didn't you just go? I would never tolerate that. And it's not always so easy. And I think that unless you've been there before, you don't quite understand how to answer that question or why someone would do this sort of thing. This last week, we were on a trip, we were on a plane, and Paige watched a documentary on P. Diddy. If you're not familiar with the story of what's transpired with P. Diddy in the last, I guess probably year or two, lots come out about the type of person that he really is and the types of things that he did to people. And we thought there was a lot of parallels in what women that have dealt with him went through and what a lot of people every single day that are part of our community or listeners of our show go through. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how manipulators get away with it, why it's so easy to get sucked in these types of situations, and why it's so hard to get out. So stick around. This is going to be a really good episode, I think. We haven't covered something like this in quite some time. I don't think to this degree ever, actually, but it's going to be solid. Hey, first and foremost, we've got a sponsor for today's show. Thank you to SoberLink. If you don't know what SoberLink is, it is the world's greatest breathalyzer. I'll just say it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it's true, and I believe it, and I'll sit here and say it. It is not just a breathalyzer, though. It is an accountability device. If you are someone like me who is trying to reestablish trust in your relationship, who is really trying to show people that they're serious this time about not drinking. That's, by the way, one of the number one things that I ask people if they've ever told me that they're done or they just had a slip or something like that. I'm like, what's different this time? Oftentimes you'll get some him-hawing around about what's actually different, about what they've learned. But you know what's actually different? Putting some skin in the game and getting a device like SoberLink to show your loved ones that you're dead serious this time, because they're going to know. They're going to be in the know now. They get to be part of your recovery journey because you can set up contacts that get alerted every time you use the device, and they will know if you've blown positive or negative. It's also going to be reviewed by a team that's on standby 24/7 on SoberLink's end to take a look at this data to make sure that it all adds up. They are not in the business of trying to get people in trouble or trying to prove people wrong or anything like that. They're just out there trying to provide accurate data. So there could be a time where you've maybe put some strong cologne on that has alcohol in it, and you're worried that your loved ones are going to be alerted that you were drinking when you actually weren't. Well, guess what? SoberLink knows the difference. They're going to ask you to retest. If something goes wrong and it doesn't read right, they're going to ask you to retest. They're not just going to throw a red flag and tell everyone that you've failed, quote unquote, on your journey. They're going to let people know. And I don't know another company in the world that has that kind of service where you've got actual humans reviewing the data. It's amazing. It has military grade facial recognition technology. So you can trust the person using the device as the person that's supposed to be using that device. You can't get around this thing. You can't tamper with it. You can't screw with it because they will know that as well. And it will alert that team that I mentioned. So there's no getting around it. This is a real deal accountability tool. Another great way this can be used is if you are in some kind of a custody battle or a dispute and you're worried about where your children are going when they're not with you. If they're going with the parent who you know has had trouble with alcohol, guess what? You can get this stuff written into your custody agreements. And I don't see why you wouldn't. If my children were going somewhere like I couldn't trust if there's going to be a sound and sober adult around, I would want something like this. I think we can both agree there that this is something that is a necessity, I would say. It's great too, because the courts know all about it. It's trusted and accepted and admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. Judges, attorneys all know about this thing. It's trusted by over 200,000 people. SoberLink is considered the gold standard in courts. So they're experts at this, okay? So whether you're trying to reestablish some accountability and trust and rebuild your relationship, or if you are past that point and you're just trying to make sure that your kids are going somewhere safe, SoberLink is there to help. They have been generous enough to give our listeners 50% off a device. 50% off a device. In times like these, economically,
it's a good deal.
It's a great deal. Great deal. Go to our link, soberlink.com/wheels, and enter your email address, and they will send you a coupon voucher for 50% off a device. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. And thank you to SoberLink for sponsoring the show. Support the companies that support us. All right, let's get this thing going. I know you're excited about this one.
Yes, I am. So I, as Matt said, I watched the documentary on P. Diddy on the plane recently, and I loved P. Diddy. Okay, when I was in 6th grade, he was like my favorite singer. Missing You was like always on repeat. I know the whole song. I love it. So when I watched this, it was kind of sad because I was like, I can't listen to his music the same ever again. But what happened also is that I got really teary-eyed through a lot of it because when I watch documentaries like this where abuse and manipulation and these power imbalances are present, it fuels me to continue spreading messages within TUFO and what we do in our podcast and Independently Strong and the community and all of our listeners, because it's not about addiction or alcoholism or codependency or anything like that. A lot of the times there is abuse in these relationships. And we've been very open about that and honest about that. And it's something that isn't discussed enough. And this documentary just really reminded me of a lot of our listeners and a lot of the things that I see in our community and the stories that I hear. And it was extremely heartbreaking to hear what a lot of women went through. And I just wanted to, there's something that I say a lot and it's really been difficult for me to articulate it, but we're going to try to do it best here. But I tell people a lot of the times that manipulators are really good at what they do. Addicts are really good at what they do. Abusers are really good at what they do. And they're like, well, what does that mean? And it's not like they're intentionally doing something to you, but it's the things that they do that make you feel so powerless and so out of control, so confused. And you don't even know who you are anymore because they're able to do these things that the outside world just doesn't see. And we're going to dig into that. Yeah,
we're going to talk about what some of those things are to actually highlight them so that you can begin to recognize them. And I will also say, for the purposes of this conversation, maybe your life doesn't parallel to the victims of what the victims of P. Diddy endured. But for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to use abuse in the term, a definition that the Lundy Bancroft set forth in his book, Why Does He Do That? And it's someone that chronically mistreats or devalues their partner. And in that sense, it opens up the door for a lot of what is considered abuse that a lot of people don't think is abuse.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are abusive, right? Gaslighting, manipulation, DARVO, love bombing, anything that keeps someone stuck.
Lying. And there's a lot of lying in these relationships.
Lying is an abusive behavior.
All right. Yes, that is a form of abuse. So if you've watched the documentary and you've thought, oh my gosh, that was like really heavy. I can relate to it, but I can't really relate to it because it seems like it's really extreme. I just want you to question that a little bit because you still have these feelings. Like there's still trauma involved. You might be minimizing your situation is what I'm trying to say, is that it's still, there's not really a scale. Like there's still impact for people. People are still being impacted in these relationships. P. Diddy was a very, very powerful person. So it might be a little bit different when it comes to that. But the actual feelings that you have being in a relationship with somebody who has that type of power or just abusive or manipulative tactics, it affects you. It affects you very similar to the women that were victims in this situation. Yeah. And this sort of piggybacks well off of our not last episode. Thank you for everyone who enjoyed Dr. Porter's episode, the republishing of that. A lot of people loved it who hadn't heard it before. I didn't realize that. It's a great one. If you haven't gone back and studied our old catalog of episodes, you're missing out. Yeah, we have a lot. But we talked about codependency and how it's often used as a victim shaming and a victim blaming term for a lot of people. They're taught that they're the problem without recognizing what abusive people do to keep other people in their orbit, knowingly or unknowingly, what they're doing that makes these people respond in a way that you wouldn't expect them to, right? So if I were to have you, if you've been in an abusive relationship before and I were to have you write out everything that you've endured on a piece of paper,
and I handed it to someone stranger and they read it, they would be like, this is awful. I would get away from this as soon as possible. But here you were stuck in it for 20 years or however long you've been stuck in it. It doesn't mean that you're crazy or something is wrong with you. It likely means that that person who's reading it has never been in your shoes, because you don't know what it's like until you've been there.
Until you've been in it.
And you don't even realize it's happening
Nope.
until long after the fact, long after these behaviors have been established and cemented in the relationship. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly over time. It just sort of chips away at you. And so I hope this is us standing in solidarity for anyone that's ever been in an abusive situation, letting you know that we hear you and we see you and we get it.
Yeah.
While many people may not, we get it. Listeners of our show get it. Members of our online community get it.
And even if you don't get it yet,
You
because maybe you're early within your relationship, eventually you will understand where we're coming from when we talk about the abuse and the trauma.
Let's get right into manipulation.
Yeah. What is it?
We've all heard the term manipulation. Oh, they're manipulative, or she's manipulative, or whatever it might be. What is manipulation actually? We're going to define it as follows. Tactics used, often unconsciously, as I mentioned, to control another person's perception, behavior, or emotional reality. A question, we talked about this in our pre-show meeting, a question that I often get is, do manipulators know that they're manipulating? Do they know what they're doing is manipulation?
Is it calculated?
Is it
like,
calculated?
are they doing this to purposely abuse me?
Yeah. Are they doing it with the intended result to get what they want?
Right.
Is that what they're up to? My answer to that is generally no. Generally no. As mentioned in the definition, oftentimes it's unconscious. Now, I've sort of given this example in the past, and I'm not sure if it really holds water, but think of it like first-degree murder versus manslaughter. First-degree murder is premeditated murder. You have an intention to kill somebody, you plan it out, and you do it. You carry it out, and that was your goal from the very beginning. You plan this thing meticulously with the result of ending someone else's life. Whereas manslaughter is a little more fuzzy than that. Maybe you didn't necessarily mean to kill someone, but you certainly put yourself in a situation or created an environment by which that was likely to happen, right? Think about drunk driving and you kill somebody, right? I'm not sure if that's tried differently in some states, but I would think of that as like, did they mean to kill someone when they got up that morning? No. But did they end someone's life? Yes. The result is the same.
Yes.
And that's what I always want people to know when they're asking this question, is that the impact is oftentimes the same. Like whether or not they planned this and spent a lot of time trying to think about how to control you or how to keep you stuck, versus they lack awareness and they're emotionally immature, and they definitely want to control your perception of events or your perception of them or of the relationship. The result is the same either way. I know why people ask. They ask because they need to know if their loved one did it intentionally, because it would be easier to walk away from that, and it would be harder to do it if they didn't necessarily mean to. It would be easier to forgive them if it was not on purpose. And I hear you, and I understand exactly what you mean by that. Don't get me wrong. I am a person who didn't mean to do this, and I was, I had to ask for forgiveness from you. But
you still knew what you were doing in the moment that you were doing it. You didn't know that it was going to impact or affect me in a way that it did until years later.
Yeah. And even in some ways, I didn't recognize exactly what I was doing. Like I wasn't necessarily conscious of anything other than I need to change your perception about the way you see these events, whatever it might be.
And you're trying to change the outcome. You're trying to control the outcome.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It's trying to control the outcome.
Yeah.
I needed you to see it the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so does that make it easier to forgive? Yeah, it very well may for some, but I just need people to understand that regardless, the result is going to be the same. You are going to suffer a trauma because of this. You are going to have to learn how to trust people again. You're going to learn how to trust yourself again.
Yeah.
Which is maybe the hardest thing ever. The result's still the same. So I want people to know that. So it's not always calculated, but it is damaging. I think very few personalities fall into what psychologists call the dark triad of personalities. Mm-hmm. And that would be psychopathy, that would be narcissism, and Machiavellianism. Those three personality types, those are what we often think of as like this evil, like super genius behind the scenes plotting how they're going to manipulate you and get their result. Like this is what they make movies out of, is these types of personalities. Most people aren't that. Like a very, very small percentage of people are that. Most people are just really selfish and stupid, and they lack awareness.
Yeah.
That's, I think, most people in general. But regardless if it's a super genius planning your demise or if it's someone who's just being really careless, you're going to feel the same way.
Yeah, especially if it never changes, because then that does become their tactics. Then it does become something that's on purpose, because
you could argue because at that point neglect,
because it's still
negligence.
Going, it never changes, and they're continuing to lie over and over again, and that pattern continues, and it's still harming you. So therefore, they do have a choice in that matter. Yeah,
and manipulation. Anyway, when I think of manipulation, I always think of like threats. I don't know why my brain just goes to like threats. Like if you don't do X, then I will Y.
Okay.
But it isn't always just like rage or threats. It's oftentimes the opposite of that.
In between.
It's charm, and it's apologies, and it's accountability, performative accountability. It's crying. It's guilt tripping.
It's the charisma.
It's all that stuff, right? That is also, that's how I would argue how more manipulators get their work done. Than anything.
Right. Well, we hear all these stories about, the abuse that happens. And it's like you said, you think that, I wouldn't deal with that. I wouldn't put myself in that position. But they rarely ever talk about the positive side of the manipulation, the promises, the apologize, the charm. Like the charm is so great and big that you really do soak that shit up.
Yeah. And we'll talk about why. There's actually a reason for that.
Yeah.
There's something going on within the mind that sort of makes that possible. But regardless, when we speak about manipulation, it's any of the tactics used. And so you might be asking, well, what the hell are those tactics? What are they, Paige?
All right. So the first one that we're going to go through is DARVO, which is the deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. I actually did a whole Paige's perspective on this a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago. I'm not exactly sure. And it was very eye-opening for a lot of people because they didn't really understand. They wanted to put the label to it. They didn't understand what was really going on. They didn't understand that they were being manipulated. But whenever I broke it down, they're like, oh shit, that's really what's happening in my relationship. And I'm glad I've got like this label to it so I can understand it and it makes sense and see it. And a lot of the times you don't even see it like as it's happening, right? A lot of the times it happens later on and you recognize the pattern. Or sometimes you'll see the DARVO and you'll see a text and maybe you show somebody that they're doing this and you're like, this just feels off. What's up with this? And somebody might say, well, I don't see anything wrong with that. It looks like they're taking, looks like, what did you do? They start to actually kind of agree with the person that's texting
they'll
it
say
to
there's
you.
Two sides to every story.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
So then it starts to make you question yourself even more because you're like, what the hell? But you don't really know what DARVO is until you've actually been in it. And it's so important to understand what it is and what is being done whenever you are being DARVO.
Let's give an example here. Let's play a game real quick. I want you to criticize me for something. Either that's something that's happening in our lives currently that you're a little fed up with, or something that's happened in the past that we used to have a big problem with. And I'll give you a DARVO response.
I hate it when you put me on the spot like this because I can't think like that, like you do.
Just look at me and my stupid face. And then what have I done that will like drive you kind of crazy? That you've
Okay. I don't know. I guess like you couldn't relax on vacation. That really annoyed me. Like, why couldn't you relax on vacation? Like we had this time to ourselves, like with our family away from all the things, and you just could not relax.
I couldn't be present. I couldn't let go. I couldn't just spend time with my family being happy.
Right.
That's a fair criticism. First of all, before we get into this, I'd hate for this to get the clip to be pulled and like, this guy's a fucking maniac. Y'all listen to this? No, like that's a very fair criticism. And you're right. We talked about it today. I have a major problem with this and it's something I've got to work on. But you're right. And so let's just say that we had like a big fight and you come to me with that and you're really upset the fact like I wasn't present. Like you've been looking forward to this vacation.
Hold on. Just so everybody knows, I'm really not upset that this happened. I don't. Okay. It's on you. I don't really care. I mean, I care.
Don't trip,
like I care. I enjoyed myself and I came back refreshed. So, and I do care about you. I wish that you did relax, but I love that.
But this might be clear. A valid concern for somebody.
It could be. It could be.
So they come to me with this, and here's how you would spin it. So first of all, the first step in DARVO, the D is deny. Mm-hmm. I'd say, what are you talking about? Like, I was there.
I was fine.
Like we had the cabana and I was hanging out in the cabana with you. And then at dinner, like we talked to the kids and I asked them like what their summer schedules were like. Right then I've denied your perception of the problem.
This is taking me back, dude.
This reminds you of the old times?
Holy crap. You were good at this.
That's why I'm giving the example.
Okay, keep going.
As a former abusive person that is very self-aware now.
Yes. And this is what I mean by when I say they're very good at what they do.
Yeah, this is for educational purposes only. This is not me today. Anyway, I would say something like that.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I would deny that what you're perceiving is even real. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of entertaining that, because that would require me to reflect, I'm going to attack you.
Okay.
So I would say something to the effect of, what about, it seems like you never do anything at all. It seems like all you ever do is relax. Like you're just laying around all day long. That must be nice. Like I have a job. I have all this stuff I have to manage. Of course I'm stressed. Why would you give me a hard time about that? What I've done there, I've now attacked you for something that we're not even talking about.
Yeah.
Remember the problem was I can't relax on vacation, driving you nuts. Now, we're not talking about that.
Right.
Let's talk about your problems. This is what manipulators will do.
And that's the reverse.
That is the attack. And now I'm reversing the victim, which is you, an offender. I'm making you the offender now.
Yeah.
This is turning it around, as it's often referred to. And maybe you've had this argument. No one's using therapy language, I don't think usually. You're DARVOing me. No, you're turning this shit around.
No, you're turning this shit around.
That's what people do. And you've probably known people like this who lack accountability, and that's what they do. That's an example, right? You can apply that to anything in your life.
What I did with that when you would do things like that back in the day, like I remember you really were good at this, is that's when I would really question myself. It's almost like gaslighting in a way.
It's sort of like gaslighting.
It's sort of like that because
it changes your reality.
It changes your reality, and it makes you question a lot of like, oh, well, maybe he was fine. You know, maybe I'm just overreacting. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe, maybe I do relax too much. And then it makes you drive yourself crazy because you're like, I brought this up, and then you get so fucking confused.
Yeah, and then you feel bad because someone who's manipulative might say things like, they would weaponize finances or any number of other things to say like, the only reason you're able to do any of this stuff is because of all my hard work and all my sacrifices. And now you're feeling guilty. Like, oh shit, like I feel bad because you have empathy and you do actually care about that sort of thing.
Right.
This is what manipulative people will do though.
Yes.
This is what DARVO is. And you've probably got a million examples in your life, in your relationship that show this happens on a daily, or maybe not daily, but a regular basis with your arguments. It's when you bring up a valid point.
Valid concern.
I am going to not even entertain it for a second. I'm just going to attack you for attacking me. Not even an attack usually, but for what I perceive as an attack. And I'm going to turn it around and find something I can gripe about, blame you for making me feel badly. And at the end of it, you're going to be left feeling horrible. I'm too much. I'm too hard on them. I need to make a lot of changes. You're going to be left feeling like you're the problem.
That you're the problem, right?
When you weren't 5 minutes ago, and you knew that 5 minutes ago because of this manipulation tactic.
And then it gets to a point where you don't even know if you want to bring up any concerns because you're scared it's going to turn into a big fight like that.
Yeah. You want to know the trick to getting around DARVO, which, by the way, I should also say, my response to that in no way applies to Paige in real life. Works her ass off.
Whatever.
But something you can do, and it's going to drive them mad, it's likely going to result in them throwing an ashtray through the wall, is don't entertain their criticism. Don't entertain their accusation. Don't take it as a fact or a person or as something that you need to even reflect on. Just keep asking the question.
Yes.
I hear you, but I'd like to talk about how you're unable to react.
Right.
Or how you're unable to relax. And they'll say something else and say, I hear you. We can address that. But I'd really like to talk about what I first brought up. If you keep doing that, it will fucking short circuit their brain. It will. You'll get nowhere. Like, don't think this is going to be like solve the problem. But I'm just saying, if you want to avoid feeling horrible at the end of this, and they've reversed victim and offender, and suddenly you're the bad guy, you just keep it back to the point over and over and over.
Or you just don't engage anymore.
They're going to say horrible things.
It's going to get worse.
I don't want to, like, if this is not going to end well for you, please don't do it. Don't take my advice on that. I'm just saying, like, if you're a little
I will say that this does not happen in healthy relationships, though. So if it's happening all the time, that's something that you want to question within your relationship. If this is somebody that you want to be with, because it will make you question your reality for the rest of your life, and it will get worse and worse. But what I wanted to ask you, though, Matt, is that whenever you did that, what was the purpose of doing that? Was it to get me off your back, or was it why?
I've reflected on this for a long time. I think it served two primary purposes. The first one is that when you attack me, you make me feel badly about myself.
Okay, so I bring on shame.
And so, like a 5-year-old,
it's emotional immaturity.
I'm going to do it back to you. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. That's number one. Usually.
That's crazy.
I'm denying and I'm attacking, right? So I'm denying, first of all, I'm not going to entertain this thing you just brought up. Now I'm going to attack. I'm going to bring up something I think is relevant, and we're going to skip that thing you just brought up. It's like people do this in debate tactics all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, what's a presidential debate? This is like half of it's effing DARVO.
DARVO, right. And I think that we're all guilty to some extent. I've had to stop myself. I know when I'm doing this or when I could be doing this. What?
I'm laughing because this happens way more from your side now than mine.
I do it a lot, don't I? Damn,
healthy people can do this too.
Do I DARVO you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes I do.
I think it's a listen, we learn to argue this way and debate this way. It's like it's almost like play the hypocrisy game. Like, let's point out the hypocrisy in your statement. You're criticizing me. Meanwhile, you're over there doing this.
Right. But the difference is that we still go back to the conversation, and I'll own my shit and I'll take accountability, and I'll be like, okay, I know what I did here.
And vice versa.
Saying you do the same thing. It doesn't continue to happen. So we want you to know that
we're valid.
Right. Absolutely.
In some way, shape, or form, it is valid. Even if I don't want to hear it, it's valid to me because it's valid to you, and it's likely valid to me as well, regardless of whatever I think it is or not. It's usually something I need to work on. You've triggered something in me.
Yes.
And I want to hurt you back. That's the first function it serves. I think the second one is to really, what I would just and generally say is controlling the narrative, right? When you're saying something like that to me, that tells me in so many ways that you've been thinking about me and what I've been up to. You're starting to question our relationship. You're starting to question our marriage. And so then I have to sort of reframe everything and make you grateful for me and make you realize that you couldn't do anything without me and that you need me and I'm your best friend and how dare you? I would never treat you that way. And so they're recreating, they're sort of like restructuring the texture of your mind about where they are in your heart and in your mind. Mm-hmm. They're completely negating any of the valid feelings that you have about how you're being treated. And they're reminding you who I am. Remember who I am. Like don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's a sick sort of thing. I think for me, we'll talk about finances and stuff later. I was never that type. Right. But when it came to perception, absolutely. Because I needed to build myself up in your mind so that you would, I think the third part is leave me alone.
Okay.
Like part of it is also like, get off my back.
Right.
I think there's also an aspect of that.
Yeah.
Now I can't speak for all abusive people. Please don't, like, I'm not like, we should just add it to the show open every time. Like, we're not therapists, y'all. I don't have a degree in psychology even. I love it. I read about it a lot. I'm not a psychologist. Paige is not a psychologist. We're not therapists. Cannot speak for all people here. I can speak for myself and a lot of people I know and say that these things are true. I would say that they're true. And I'm sure if we had a therapist sitting here, they could probably say those things are true and then add to some.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think that most people in general are sort of trying to control a narrative. They're hurting you because you hurt them. It's their defense mechanism.
Okay.
And then I think another part of it is like, we're not going to sit here and fight. Just shut up. Okay. You know, if I can get you to buy into my narrative, then you won't bother me anymore. Okay.
For me, it's something that stings and it means that it's something that I need to address. And that's why I act that way. But then I typically address it and we move on from there.
Yeah. But the initial attack comes from a place of hurt usually.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Know?
For sure.
It's an ego thing usually.
Right.
You've just bruised my ego. I didn't feel good, man. Like you've called out something I've been ignoring about myself and I'm sort of aware of, and I don't need to hear it from you. And so you come after me. When you're coming after me, isn't it in some ways to reframe the way I see it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not for me. For me, it's never been about, I want you to hurt because I'm hurting. I've never really had that mentality. I don't feel like I've had that mentality. The attack is more of just like, will you do this too? Like,
yeah, it's the playing the hypocrisy game.
Right.
It's I think what political scientists call the whataboutisms.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what about when you do this?
Yeah.
And what about that's what politicians do.
Yeah.
One will bring up a valid point. The other will say, well, what about this or that?
Your ear just start ringing?
No, that's just you.
Oh, damn.
Tinnitus, maybe.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next manipulation tactic. Yeah. And if you want to learn even more about it, go listen to Paige's perspective on it. Love bombing is another one. So tell me about love bombing.
Man, love bombing. I used love bombing generally after a huge blow up. It was my way, I think for me, a way for me to feel secure in the relationship again.
Okay.
It wasn't about you wholly. It was really about me and us. It's like, I need this relationship in order to feel whole. I need you to feel good about me so I can feel good about me.
Right. So then you would like promise to be better.
Oh my God. Okay.
You used to.
Man, so many promises. This is so after an episode of DARVO where they've attacked you, you'll oftentimes get love bombing. You don't always have to win, quote unquote, win the argument to get love bombed. You will get a text, or usually it's a text. People usually aren't calling you with this kind of stuff. And it's like, I love you so much and I never want to fight with you. And I look up to you so much. And that's why I take things so seriously. And I'm going to be a better man for you. And I want to be the person that I promised. I want to be a great dad and I want to be a great husband. And I love you so much and you're amazing and I need you in my life. And I'm sorry that I said all those things. And you get a soft spot for that and you fall in love with them all over again. And then you're right back to where you started. It's like you have a clean slate. Manipulators are using this though. This is a tactic. This isn't just someone making an apology. People that make apologies, generally when you say, I'm sorry, that's a one-time deal.
Yes. It means you'll never do it again.
The best apology of all time is change behavior.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're getting love bomb texts and you've seen these things, they're like pages long, that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. That's someone who wants the benefits of a happy relationship
without
copacetic between each other without the work. It's exactly it.
Yeah.
They want the feeling of having security in the relationship, for you to feel secure with them, to believe in them without having to actually do anything to get it. It's just fucking words. It's just words.
Yeah. We actually talk about this in the Independently Strong program about the toxic cycle that happens with the love bombing, with the DARVO, with all the things. Like, it's a cycle. It will happen. And once you see it, you're like, oh, these are the patterns. And this is what's continuing to happen in my relationship. And I think I mentioned in the program, like, you used to bring me flowers, after we would have a big blow up, because you would leave, you would storm out, you would go do whatever the hell it was you were doing, probably going to get drugs, getting high, driving pills, around, doing whatever. And then you would pull up with some flowers and like, I'm sorry. And I love you. And I promise to be a good man and all those things. And I would soak that in. I would be like, ooh, I love this. This is great. But it happened you would do the same thing again. And like a week later, it was very short lived, but maybe you would be good for a couple of days,
right? But
it would start all over again.
Yeah, Pavlov's dog, right? And we'll talk about some more of this stuff. Like the response the dog gets when he hears the bell ring is that he starts to salivate because he knows he's about to get a treat. Abusive people, knowingly or not, are doing the same thing to you when they use love bombing. They know the response they're going to get. Whether or not you know it is sort of irrelevant. They know that things are going to be copacetic. They know that things are going to be better when they get home. It's going to be calm. It's going to be fun again. They're going to get to have fun time in bed again. Like, all this stuff is now better. I think that emotionally immature people in general, and just in my opinion, they equate time passed with an apology. So oftentimes you'll get a day or two of like cold shoulder, no talking at all. Mm-hmm. And now in their mind, enough time has passed where I can love bomb you and we can move on. We can just forget about this shit. We can go about our business. Time passed is not an apology, y'all. It is not an apology. Maybe over something stupid. I don't know. You get mad at me for like leaving a newspaper out or something. I don't know. Like,
no, this is significant.
In an hour, we look at each other and just laugh.
Significant things.
No, this is like serious shit.
Yeah.
Man. It's not an apology. I think that love bombing is often used in that way, where it's sort of like this faux apology that people will use. When I said, like, the only apology that matters is change behavior. If that's not happening, there hasn't been an apology.
And it has to be drastic changes too. Like it's not just like a small change. Like drastic changes are necessary within these situations. Like the Lundy Bancroft book, I believe, does have the checklist of like what it really means when somebody's taking accountability.
Is on point too.
It is so good. We've posted it in the community before. We had an episode a while back about, how to know when somebody's serious about recovery. If you want to go back and listen to that one, that will help you understand like when they're actually really changing.
Yeah. And it's all behavior stuff.
All behavior.
It's stuff you can't fake with a text message.
Words do not mean anything. And there's so many out there that will have the performative accountability, where they will just like, they'll show you like for a week or two, maybe even a month that they're doing okay and things are great. But are they really making changes? Not necessarily. Not unless you are going through the checklist and you can check all of those off and say that, they really are making changes.
They're preying on your desire to have a healthy connection and a healthy relationship, which is not codependency, by the way. Stop with that. We're humans. We are wired for community and connection.
Yeah.
You know what the most, I think a psychologist would say this. I mean, I'm sure that there are forms of torture that are awful, but what they say is possibly the most damaging form of torture for humans is isolation. We are not wired to be alone.
No.
We're just not. Maybe there's some recluses out there that enjoy it, but I think in general, we're not. We're wired for connection, and you are not wrong for wanting a connection. You are not wrong for fighting for a relationship. It doesn't make you codependent. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit, man.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
You're supposed to have these feelings towards your partner.
You want to have this relationship. This person is offering what looks to be an olive branch, and then you dive back in. But this is a manipulator tactic, and we just need you to recognize that.
Yeah.
So the next time it does happen, you go, oh, that's right.
What's happening?
Those two on the podcast, it said this was going to happen.
Right.
And now it's happening. You'll see it totally differently. I promise you
you
that.
will.
You will see
and
it
that's why we're
differently.
here. We're here to educate you on, like, we talk about self-care and taking care of yourself and stuff, but we think it's so important for you to understand what manipulation looks like, what these tactics are, what could be possibly happening within your relationship. Like that's important because that's what's really affecting you. We're not going to tell you to turn a blind eye and just focus on yourself. Like you need to understand what your partner is doing and how it is affecting you. And that's where you're going to make changes. That's where the educational piece comes in from us.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, we're not going to tell you to just leave either, because we're talking about why it's so hard to do that in this episode.
For sure.
Those are the two extremes that you usually get. It's what you just said, and then just go.
Right.
Yeah, but these are very, very common tactics. Love bombing it's a huge one for people. We've probably all experienced it at some point. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Next big one, and this is a popular term. We've all heard it, but what does it actually mean? Gaslighting. This is distorting someone else's reality to make them question the reality they're perceiving, or events, something that's happened in the past. So the most extreme example in our own lives of this one, there was this incident where I would have to lie about a million different things to get out of the house so I could buy drugs. I didn't have anyone close by I could get this stuff from. I was an opioid user, so I had to buy pills from like 10, 12 different people. And sometimes I had to drive like 45 minutes away or an hour away. And we were living in a college town at the time that was about an hour away from the person I was buying the pills from. And there was a toll road.
Such a waste of time.
Toll road. That is a waste of time. There was a toll road that I had to take to get there. For some reason, you had checked the toll bill or the location.
We've talked about this before in a much earlier
we've
episode.
Talked about this.
But
if you're new here,
let's redo it.
Paige recognized that I was in a city that I had told her I wasn't going anywhere close to, and I was on a toll road, and she knew what was in that city. So as she's on the phone with me, arguing and asked me what the F am I doing, I'm fumbling through my words, making up some stupid excuse, and I'm able to log into the toll provider and delete the transaction so that I was able to tell her, like, I don't even know what you're talking about or why you don't believe me. I'm not even on that toll road. Refresh your page. Like, look at it. I'm not even seeing it. Why are you seeing this? And she refreshed it and it was gone. I had now changed her perception of her reality, the actual reality of the situation.
You actually changed it. That's crazy.
What does that do to a person? What does it do to a person?
That'll fuck you up.
That will completely fuck you up. If you think about when someone is lying, flat lying, that's what gaslighting really is. It's lying in so many ways that makes you question your perception of the reality that you live in every single day, whether it's about something you said or something you didn't say, or about anything. I could say that, there was a can on this table earlier. Where did it go? Like, there was never a can. No, there was a can, and I just won't let it go. And I just keep bringing it up. And I at some point I convince you that what I'm saying is right and your perception is wrong. This isn't sort of like some, weird deja vu thing, or you were just mistaken. This is someone quite literally changing your reality. We're creating a narrative in your mind to tell you a different story. And you would be shocked at how easy this is to do to people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if like you're a parent and you've got a lot of shit going on and your life is just crazy and you're busy all the time and you're just barely hanging on for the most part. It's really, really tough to know, shit, is that true? Did that happen? At some point you just accept it.
Yeah.
Because you're not even 100% sure anyway.
Exactly.
But what it does over time is it makes you start doubting yourself.
Yeah. And then you don't trust yourself anymore. And then you can't trust anybody else. And then like it just completely, it does rewire your brain. Like trauma rewires your brain. The way that you're treated when people lie to you, and especially the closest relationship, the most important relationship that you're going to have in your life. They're doing this to you. It is going to impact you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Intermittent reinforcement is the next one.
Right.
This is breadcrumbing is what I would call this.
Okay.
What? You look like you were going to say something.
No. Keep going. I'm reading.
Oh, okay. So breadcrumbing somebody. Intermittent reinforcement is sort of, we talk about this in our course, Independently Strong, trauma bonds.
Yes.
Right? There is a dopamine rush that you get when you get what you want from your partner. On the occasions that they do show up for the family and they act kindly and they're respectful and they're sweet and considerate, you've gotten everything you want from them and it fills your cup of hope. Your cup of hope. It fans it
that was awesome.
It brightens your hope candle. Oh my God, I knew that they were in there.
Yeah.
There they are. They're right there. They're showing me why I fell in love with them. This is a tactic. What do the behaviors over time say? What does the pattern say, right? If they're doing this in response to you being upset, if this is sort of like follows love bombing, they're breadcrumbing you. Mm-hmm. They're giving you just enough to stick around, just enough to be quiet. They're placating you. This is oftentimes what people are doing, and you don't realize it. Nope. It's tough to see it when you're in it.
Yep.
But now that you know, recognize this, and there's probably a pattern to it. If you journal this kind of stuff, we'll talk about like how to keep track of this stuff, but journaling it, you'll begin to see the pattern there.
Right. It's really important to do that. This is like where we talk about like there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. I'd really like to do a separate episode on this at some point, honestly. I think it's a very important topic that we could talk on for about an hour. And a lot of people don't recognize it when they're in it because it's normalized. Like the breadcrumbs are normalized. You think that those good things are what you hold on to because that's what you want. And then you almost forget the bad stuff.
It's easy to forget
or you
the bad.
Minimize them because that dopamine gives you that rush, that high that you want within the relationship.
It reinforces your greatest desire.
It does. And that's why it's so complicated to really get out of these types of situations or to recognize what's going on. Because like I said, people, you can sit there and talk about the abuse all day long and all the bad things. And you're like, okay, well, I wouldn't put up with that, but you're not discussing the other part of it. You're not discussing the opposite, the love bombing, the breadcrumbs, the stuff, the highs that you're getting in these relationships. In a healthy relationship, you don't have this. Matt and I do not have these high highs and low lows. Like we don't have them. We're very balanced. We, of course, we'll have our fights and stuff, but it's not.
And we'll have our little highs and
we'll have our little highs and but it's not extreme. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. It used to be like that. We used to have the highs and then the lows and then we normalized it. But in a healthier relationship, it's not like that. And then you'll recognize once you're out of it, you're like, oh shit, that's what that was. Like that was unhealthy to have these highs and these lows, that intermittent reinforcement that happens within these relationships.
Yeah, that's not what safety in a relationship is.
It's not safe. It's not. But you don't recognize it while it's happening because you have normalized it. This is like we've said, this is your most important relationship of your life. Why would you recognize it while you're in it?
Yeah.
You don't.
From an addiction standpoint, there are people that will placate their partner and stop drinking or give the appearance of that they're not drinking as intermittent reinforcement.
Yeah, for a period of time
to keep you kind of stuck. For people that have been through like betrayal trauma, like with infidelity or something like that, you can get someone that can go through a period where they've had, extramarital affairs, and then suddenly they're super attached to you and they're really integrated in the family system, but it's temporary and they go back to their pattern.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they give you this high. It's like, oh, there's my guy. There he is. No. You can't just focus on the highs without also looking at the lows.
No, you have to look at it all.
You're not wrong for doing it. We know why you do it, right? It's simple. You're looking for safety too. And in your heart of hearts, you're trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. You're willing to take some of these lows as kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And you just kind of normalize it.
Well, it doesn't help that there are programs out there that tell you that the lows are just the alcohol or the lows are the substance. That's not really who they are. That's the disease.
They're not looking at it through the lens of manipulation
you
or
have
abuse.
to look at them from, you have to look at all the good things, and that's that person. And that's not how this works. Like, you have to look at the person as a whole. You have to look at the highs, you have to look at the lows, and you have to figure out, all right, is this really what I want in my life or not?
Yeah.
And if you're turning a blind eye if you're blaming it on the substance, because the behavior still impacts you. It still impacts you the same. Like, it doesn't matter substance or not, whatever they're doing, it is impacting you in a negative way.
Facts. Next one, guilt tripping.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with what guilt tripping is. But I think some of the ways that I commonly see this is when people weaponize their vows.
Always.
Man, they weaponize their vows. They will go back to those vows, whatever happened to in sickness and in health and good times and bad, that shit.
I could go on a rant on that one, but I'm not gonna.
I think you should at some point. It sounds like a good TikTok reel or something, but that one gets thrown around a lot. I see this, I see a lot of the abuse come from, in this context anyway, from sort of like Judeo-Christian traditions, religious contexts about what a woman's role is. I've seen so many messages from women that have had the lack of physical intimacy thrown in their face.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of shit. It's almost used like currency for abusive people.
Yeah.
And man, I could go on a rant about that. I think I have a few times.
They can say something like, well, you're always yelling at me. You always make me feel like shit. You always, do this. Like, well, I wonder why, buddy. Or like, I wonder why I'm yelling at you. I wonder why I'm having these issues.
Or you stop taking care of yourself and you stop making me desire you. Like, all kinds of shit, right? They're causing guilt with the intention of getting you off their scent, usually, or just as a nasty fighting technique. It's
emotional
terrible.
Immaturity.
Another manipulation tactic is isolation. Sometimes, especially if you are in a marriage where you've got, let's say that you moved away for your husband's job or something like that, and you're not around friends or family anymore, or they have made it really hard for you to be in touch with your friends or family because they know who they are. Like, let's say that you're with someone and like your sister knows and your mom knows and they've told you and they don't like this effing guy and he knows that they don't like him. You can become isolated from the very support network that is your lifeline in moments like this. Well, and that's sort of by design. It's
right.
like, let me take all of my opposition out of this by isolating you and keeping you here.
Yeah. And also, if you're like in the IS program or you're on a community call within TUFO or something like that, and they don't like you being there because, they know that it's we kind of
we're gonna out your shit.
We're gonna out your shit. Yeah, we tell people how it is. They may try to isolate you from that, and that's not okay because it's for you. It is for you to understand yourself more and to understand that you aren't powerless and that you do have options, and it's important, and your partner should support that.
Yeah, and some of the more extreme versions of isolation would be your partner framing your friends and family in your mind in a way that would make you not want to spend time with them. Like, your mom has never supported you, and they'll come up with all kinds of examples of why they feel this way. When in reality, your mother's an incredibly loving person and she's always supported everything you've done, but they have spun this narrative in your mind and you're sort of on board with it. This is the kind of control people have.
What if it's real though?
When Paige says manipulators are good at what they do, this is sort of what she means.
Yeah.
If it's real, that's a totally different story. This is when it's not. Okay. This is when it's not.
Okay.
We watched a documentary about this, about was it those TikTok dancers or something like that had convinced that she joined a cult and
Oh,
they convinced
yeah.
her that her family was like horrible and
Right.
they was like the most loving family of all time. And they were just so sad that they lost their daughter.
Well, they did that with everybody.
And
They
couldn't
had to
understand
like,
it. But the abusers were isolating those people intentionally.
yes,
Because they were a threat to what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And abusive people will do this.
absolutely.
Projection's another one.
Okay.
Right? Projection. Being accused of something, what feels like out of nowhere, they're accusing you of doing whatever it might be
Cheating?
because that's what they would do.
We see that
Cheating
a lot.
is the most common one we see.
Yeah.
Wheelies will post anonymously in the community and like, I got accused of cheating today. Like I haven't been out of the house in like 2 months. Like we have a toddler. Like, dude, I haven't showered. Like I'm not cheating. Like why would they say this? It's because he's probably cheating. Like
right.
It takes one to know one sort of deal, right?
Right. And if it feels off and it's like, whoa, okay, they're probably doing what they're saying that you're doing.
It takes that sort of mind to even draw that conclusion, right? So,
Yeah.
But it'll make you question yourself. It will make you question everything. Am I the cheating type? Am I I don't want to make you feel that way. And it just entrenches you deeper and deeper into their web.
Yep.
Those are some of the manipulation tactics. So I hope that you've been able to at least draw some parallels to your own life here to recognize where this stuff may be happening.
Yeah.
So that you can then say, okay, when X happened, I have to look out for that in the future now. I know what that is. I know what that trick is. Whether or not they know it is not important. Please don't take this and be like, yo, today I learned that you gaslight me. Like it's not going to get you anywhere.
No, it won't.
You bring that up to them and you're just going to get DARVO'd again.
Right. It's kind of like whenever we talk about
maybe in therapy you discuss it.
Some people get some of our information they misunderstand it just from a reel or something and saying like, well, I feel like if I don't say anything, that means I'm just holding it back and I'm not, communicating how I feel. But we've been very real about how you can't communicate how you feel in these situations because it's not going to get you anywhere. Like they're not willing to hear you. I actually did a recent episode on Paige's perspective where we think that if we communicate just the right way, we're going to get through to somebody, but that's not how communication works, especially in these situations. Action is what works in these situations, not communication. It's not telling you to hold back your feelings or, not say what you feel. It's that you can't get through to them. It's just not.
Remember, the communication is two parts, right? And just, I know there's a huge nonverbal component, but just to say there's a listening and it's speaking. And that's both people. If one person's not listening, there is no communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, that's a whole other episode.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the shaming stuff.
Yeah. So there's we've talked about how, people are like, well, I wouldn't put myself in that situation, or why have you stayed? Or why did you stay? Why didn't you leave? Why can't you leave? Like, I would never put up with that. So we're going to break down why people can't just leave. Like there are many reasons why people don't leave, and just telling them to leave, it won't work. There's typically a fear of retaliation. So let's say that you bring something up or you want to leave and get out of there. There's all those manipulation tactics that we just discussed is what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that.
You have to deal with all that. You have to deal with it.
And on a grander scale, if you're dealing with someone who's in a position of power of some kind, let's say that they are very familiar with working with lawyers and they've got a lot of money, they could come after you. They could sue you. They could put you in a position where you can't get away, right? They're going to retaliate in some way to make your life hell.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be physical abuse.
Yeah. There
are some people that will go to these lengths to retaliate. So just leaving, like watch the movie Sleeping with the Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. I'm not just being facetious about this. Like that's a sort of a Hollywood example, but it happens. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't based on a true story.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of people don't know that's what that happens. You just don't leave. It's not that simple. There's emotional confusion.
Yeah. This is sort of like we talked about with the breadcrumbing and everything else, the gaslighting, this stuff, what the end result of what it does, it has made it more difficult for you to trust yourself. Mm-hmm. It has made it so much more difficult for you to even know what you want or who you are.
You don't even know what's
are.
real anymore.
Exactly. So when we talk about emotional confusion, at the very least, that's what it is. It's, I love this person. I have loyalty to this person, but I'm not happy. And you don't know what to do. I thought marriage people were supposed to just work it out, and there's ups and downs, and there's hard times and there's good times. We're in a hard time right now. And man, they can be so sweet sometimes. And you will overstate the good times. You will understate the bad times.
Mm-hmm.
You will find yourself in a situation that's not tenable for you. It's not healthy for you or children. And you're going to be confused. And it seems crazy on paper, but it's not if you've ever been there. It's just not.
Right.
You've got loyalty, and that means something. And that means a lot to a lot of people. Their vows do mean something to them. And you're emotionally torn. Part of you knows this isn't good. The other part of you loves that person. And they know that deep down inside there somewhere, there's an awesome version of them that you can't wait to meet again. And it's not always so simple. It's just fucking not. And I hate when people I can't stand the comments that come from people who act sort of holier than thou about this. Like, I would never deal with that. I would never put up with that. I'd have been gone 6 months ago, girl. Like, oh, really? Come on. Really?
Yeah.
So trauma bonding is another reason.
No, I was going to say hope for change.
Hope for change. We talked about that.
That's probably the biggest one that I see in stories, like in the community and stuff, is that there's so much hope that there's going to be change, and it keeps them just in the cycle for a really long period of time.
I blame people like us for that.
Yeah, but I think that if you listen to us, you understand that that's not where we are. We're
advocates for healthy relationships, not unhealthy ones.
Right. And hope needs to be reframed. You did a newsletter on this. It's actually a blog post. I'll probably post it up again soon because it's one of my favorite ones that you've written about how hope is beautiful, but hope is dangerous. And it goes back to that list of Lundy Bancroft and the things that need to be done in order to see a changed person. Because the longer you stay in it, the harder it's going to be.
No, you're right about that. The longer you stay in there, it does get harder over time.
It does.
I heard a woman, this was hilarious, I thought. She said the world's most powerful drug is hopium.
Hopium?
Yeah, that was great.
That's interesting.
And she might even be right, honestly. Like, that is something that drives people to do things they would never do under normal circumstances.
But that's what we try to do here, though,
man.
Is like we try to reframe it. We really do, because I think that hope does need to be reframed for yourself. Like, it can be better for yourself, not necessarily your relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one is trauma bonding, which is what we've discussed before. We have an episode on trauma bonding. If you want to go check that out, that was from one of our early ones, I think. Yeah.
Trauma bonding. So I think Dr. Porter's probably my favorite person to hear talk about betrayal trauma and its effects on the brain, and what these little breadcrumbs can do. And over time, how you can become hooked on finding that bright spot in your relationship and completely disregard anything bad that's going on, and become so entrenched and so enmeshed in the toxicity of it all over time that the story you tell yourself isn't really what's actually happening.
Well, I think as a society, we've been conditioned to look at the good stuff too. It goes along with the toxic positivity.
Too many movies, but you can be trauma bonded.
We talk about it on our program too.
And if you've never been in a trauma bond, you will never understand why some people don't just walk away, because it's not easy. In fact, it feels impossible.
Yep.
Everything in your being is telling you not to, that there's hope that this gets better. And then you have evidence that supports that, and you want to believe in that evidence, completely casting aside all the bad. Yeah.
Another one is going to be lack of support or clarity. The lack of support I can completely understand, because if you're trying to tell somebody what's going on, some people may be like, oh, that doesn't sound that bad. Or
some people you just can't tell at all.
You can't tell. And it's just, they don't understand it. They've never been in it. They just, I don't know. They just don't have any experience with it, or they just don't understand it. So it's hard when you don't have that support, because then you're getting gaslit from all over the place.
Or if this is new, and so clarity is another part of this, lack of support or clarity. You don't have the language yet to talk about the actual problem, because you haven't really put your finger on what the problem is.
Ooh, that's
good.
That
something's off, but how do you articulate that in a way that makes sense, that you can even communicate to somebody?
That's what we're here to help you with.
We can help you with that. This is where therapy is also really helpful. Find a therapist that specializes in narcissistic abuse. They will get it. They know. They know.
Yeah. And then the shame and isolation. Like, there's a lot of shame that comes
and you
in
isolate, sometimes self-isolate as a result, because you can't talk to your PTO friends. You can't talk to the girls that you used to hang out with. They're not dealing with this kind of stuff. They do not understand it. They're going to give you some of the dumbest advice. Maybe some of them give you good advice, but I think most of them are just going to try to, they're going to try to tell you it's not as bad as you think.
Or they're going to victim shame. They're going to say, oh, well, you put yourself in that situation. You should have known better, or you picked them. Yeah. That one really gets under my skin. So yeah,
there's a million reasons why people don't just leave. There's so many reasons why people don't just leave. Oftentimes people don't see what you see.
Yes. Or even you don't really see what you see. Like you said, there's not much clarity. So you've got to figure out what it is, that's actually going on. And you've got to pinpoint what the problem is. And that's what we're here to do, is to educate you on that. But when no one else sees it, what does that look like? So a lot of the times manipulators will create a dual identity. So they have an identity for the world, and then they have one behind closed doors.
Yeah.
They will show the world somebody completely charming. They will show them that they have no problems. You might bring up an issue to a family member and they say, oh, well, I don't see that. There's no way that person is like that.
He serves on the school board.
Or he provides just fine. Like, oh, you've got a roof under your head.
You have nice cars.
You
nice
have
home.
all this stuff. And then also they'll say, well, they've never done that to me, so I don't have a problem with it, which that one really irks me too, because it's like, all right, where's your support system when it's like, okay, I don't care if they haven't done it to you. There's still some issues going on. Like, don't you care about me enough to care like how you're being treated?
Yeah, in this situation, you almost have to become an advocate for yourself and against your partner. And that's a really hard thing to do. People don't want to have to talk bad about their partner and to prove themselves right to their support system that's around them.
Yeah.
People you don't want to shit talk anybody. You don't want to shit talk your partner necessarily, but that information is relevant because they don't see the version that you see.
No.
They don't live in your house.
No.
They don't live behind those closed doors. They don't see or hear what is said. They don't hear any of this stuff. So it becomes really difficult because they ain't in there. They're not in that situation like you're in it.
No. But let's think about like Diddy, okay? Like he's a huge public image, lots of power, success. He's very generous. Like he did a lot of stuff that was generous.
Bringing up young artists.
But privately and behind closed doors, there was a lot of control. There was a lot of abuse. And this was stuff that was happening before he was really powerful, by the way.
He was a monster.
So if people don't understand that, it didn't just come with the power. Like that just amplified it. And there was a lot of fear privately. So people didn't see things. But if you look at your situations, I see a lot of people posting about like high functioning alcoholics, or that their partner, their husband or wife or whatnot is a high level CEO. They bring home a lot of money. People respect them. Maybe they're a public figure, maybe like
a doctor, nurse, anything.
A mayor, like it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what the problem is because they're still doing well for themselves. Like there's no big hot like rock bottom that is affecting them. So it's hard for you to be like, okay, well, but something's wrong, but something isn't right. Like, that there might be some type of verbal abuse or emotional abuse or something going behind closed doors that is really impacting you, but it's hard to speak up because everyone else sees this person as a high level, awesome person.
Yeah. When we have experience here, whenever I went to treatment, people were in disbelief. They had no clue. They had no idea that I had ever had any kind of problem. No way, not him. It can't be that bad. My own family.
Yeah.
No clue.
Right.
People I worked with on a daily basis. No clue.
I barely knew. I mean, I knew that I knew that you were an asshole, like I knew that there were issues, I didn't know that you needed rehab for an addiction. Or
work after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it can be really tough because you're flying in the face of a persona.
Yeah.
Persona.
Oh, and Matt had a lot of friends. Like you still have a lot of friends that you were like, people looked up to you and all of your friends thought that you were awesome. They enjoyed your company, but they never really understood the stuff that went on behind closed doors, like the lying. And I mean, I think some of them did know, but probably we didn't really discuss it.
Fun fact, I'm pretty sure this is correct. The word personality comes from I think it's Greek persona, which referred to a mask that actors wore in ancient times.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, your personality is the mask that you show the world. It's not exactly your true self. So that's what you're doing here. You're fighting against a persona that's out there. And some people have very carefully curated personas.
Yes.
And to damage that, oof. Or to fly in the face of that, oof.
Well, yeah. And it creates a second level of gaslighting, which
It
is
does.
what I was referring to earlier. Like when they say like, oh, he's such a good dad. Oh, he's such a good person. Or she seems so put together. Looks like they've got it all, the perfect relationship. I'm sure it's not that bad.
They got new cars.
They got, yeah.
Shit like
it's
that.
like,
And
it's
I'm
like,
serious. People
what do
look at
you
stuff like
have
that.
to be upset about
Yeah.
when things are going well? And it's like, there's something darker and deeper within the relationship that a lot of people and the outsiders are not going to see because they are not part of it. They've not been a part of it. So then it makes you question yourself even more because you're like, well, I'm the only one who has a problem. I've been in this position for many years over something else. Felt very alone and isolated and just like, okay, am I crazy because I'm the one who feels this way? But I ended up getting help and actually had somebody who heard me and was like, okay, you're not crazy. Like you do need to trust your instincts here.
Yeah.
And we lose the ability to trust our instincts in these relationships because of all of this stuff that we're discussing. And it doesn't help when you don't have people around you supporting you and seeing it for what it is.
Hell yeah. Feels so lonely.
It makes it so hard.
So lonely.
But if you keep going, it gets better.
For sure.
Because then you really start to trust yourself and then you're like, screw them all. It doesn't matter what they think.
You'll regain a sense of yourself that you forgot was there.
Yeah, you will. You will.
And that's just your ability to trust yourself and your instincts.
Uh-huh.
Another piece of this, like reputations, right? We talked about how there's some people who will come back after you, who will attack you, who will come after your character. Some people will say that, you say these things, you come public with this, you start talking to people, I'll ruin your name.
Yeah.
No one will believe you anyway. Who would want you? Look at you. Who would ever want to be with you? Like there's a fear there of the attack that you're going to get from some people. Some people will say, like, especially we'll talk about stay-at-home moms here in a second, but like you don't have a lot of places to go. Like Diddy would say things like, I made you, I can break you.
Yeah.
Because he brought up young artists and their career was literally in their hands. It was in his hands.
Right.
And everyone that was in his orbit, it was all contingent on him accepting them to get into this life.
Yeah. And on the outside, you would think, oh, that would never be me. Like I would be able to find
Say that until
myself.
you're there,
I
man.
would be able to stand up for myself. I would be able to, no, that is not how this works. It is not that simple.
It's just not.
Like I said, they're very good at what they do. And it will mess your brain up.
They will come after parts of you that you didn't know existed.
Yes. Oh, that's so true.
It's not as simple as just leave. It's not as simple as just walk away or talk to people about this. It's just not. Okay. And it's about time we start to really acknowledge that. I think that things are heading in that direction and I love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
People
are speaking up.
I feel like it's limited when it comes to mental health struggles and someone else being a victim of those struggles, like addiction. Things like this is not discussed.
No.
Partners' pain is often dismissed because we have this disease and everything that comes with it. And all that shit gets written off as if these people didn't experience real pain and real trauma and real abuse.
Right. And here's the thing about Diddy too, is that there was a lot of alcohol and drugs involved.
Oh yeah.
In all of it, but no one's really talking about that because we want to talk about the abuse. We want to talk about the actual actions that were taking place that was harming people. That's what's important. It doesn't matter if the drugs and alcohol were involved. What matters is how he treated people and how it impacted them. And that's the same thing within these situations.
Behaviors, man.
That is why we do not talk about addiction that much, because I don't go down that path. We'll talk about it occasionally, but I don't go down that path too much because it is about the behaviors and how they impact you.
We don't want to soften it by talking about addiction because these behaviors are affecting somebody just the same.
Right.
So can we stop giving it this little bow and calling it like, oh, honey, you're not really affected. He's just addicted.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Or that's not really him. That's not really who they are.
Man.
They just, they have issues. Like, yeah, they do have issues. That doesn't mean that I have to be fucking part of it. That doesn't mean that I get to be traumatized because of that.
Yeah, I think we do our best at acknowledging that addiction is very complex and these behaviors oftentimes mimic things that people have never wanted to call them, which are abusive.
Yep.
And they just are.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's recovered from these things and who has worked through this stuff telling you that that is true. That has absolutely been true in our experience. So say what you want, but I'll argue with you all day long. So when we talk about, we got to wrap it up.
No, we've got about 10 minutes until we have to wrap it up.
Okay.
So
we have to go pick up a kid.
Yeah, we do.
But I don't want this to take away from this part of the episode.
No.
So stay-at-home moms oftentimes have the hardest time
with this,
getting out of this.
Because right. There's so much that goes in there.
Real concerns.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to put a roof over me and my kids' heads?
Right. You depend on the abuser.
You depend on the abusive person for your survival. Income, your survival, literally your survival at this point.
Yeah.
And so many people feel trapped. Many women feel trapped by this. Mm-hmm. And so we have financial abuse that sort of enters the conversation.
Yes.
We have isolation that enters the conversation here as well, when especially unique to stay-at-home moms.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that, they control the money and the car and the access. Like they control all of these things within your dynamics, and you kind of normalize and you minimize a lot of the situation because there's a power imbalance there. And you think that they have the right to, make decisions or act the way they act because they're the ones providing for you. And that sucks and that's sad. And that just breaks my heart if you ever have that mentality.
Yeah.
But I understand why, because of our society. We've been conditioned that men are providers and women are the ones who take care of the family and the home or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it is anymore. That's unequal relationship. You can still be a stay-at-home mom and have an equal partnership. This is something Matt has never done in our relationship. And I have been a stay-at-home mom for many years. And he never threw finances in my face. He never hid finances from me. Whenever I became a stay-at-home mom, before that, you just spent all of our money.
I spent all the money.
Yeah, there was some financial abuse whenever he was in active addiction. But, he never made me feel like I didn't have a say or any of that within our relationship. Like it's been a very healthy, balanced relationship, even being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, so many people don't have that.
No.
And you get some people out there. I know there are a lot of mothers out there as well. The reason that's really not here, but it's sort of pregnant within this idea of being a stay-at-home mom is that if you don't provide and they do, and you have children, I don't want to have to share my children with this monster. Many people feel like it's just safer or you can keep an eye on them,
right?
As opposed to having them go out with this person because you don't know what they would do.
If that's the case, I would fight as hard as possible within the court systems or whatnot.
Well, then you have this issue
share.
where it's like, how am I going to pay for an attorney?
I know. There's so much that goes into that.
And these are the things that are going through these women's minds.
Yeah, absolutely. But I know that you're not powerless. I do know that I've worked with people who have gotten out of these situations in that type of situation, and they have learned to thrive. They have figured it out.
Yeah, the finance thing, like that disgusts me. That absolutely fucking disgusts me.
When it's being held over their heads?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, and it's like, you don't even have a job. So what are you going to do? Or you can't spend that money without talking to me about whatever, Matt has always had the mentality that the money that he brings home is my money and our children's money as well.
It's the money that we bring home.
It is what we do, because we actually need to have an episode on that because we've talked about this before.
That actually probably doesn't need to be an entire episode.
Yeah.
I've got some really differing opinions, I think, than a lot of guys and maybe a lot of women too that are traditional. And I don't think I'm super progressive in this. I think it's just the right thing to do.
I've had to rewire my brain because I was very traditional.
There's not a single thing that I've been able, I don't want to put this. Everything I've been able to accomplish professionally is because of you holding things down domestically.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
There's no way in the world I could stay late, develop those relationships, and do all that stuff if you weren't busting your ass and sacrificing here. And one of the things that I think a lot of guys overlook whenever they think about stay-at-home mom, like that's some kind of a privilege or a luxury, not taking into account what kind of sacrifice that really is. I think so many men look at that as like privilege. You're privileged. And maybe it is in some sense today in 2025 with the way that you have to earn a certain level of income to make that happen. But dude, no, it is an honor that someone would trust me with their professional growth. They're sacrificing that. You sacrificed that to stay home with our children because they meant that much to you. And you entrusted me with making sure that our finances and your finances were okay. Yeah. I'm not managing my money. I manage our family's money. This is every bit yours as it is mine.
Right.
And I've never once looked at it as like, that's my money. I earn it and I distribute it to you, or I give you an allowance or any bull fucking shit.
Yeah.
No, I've never, ever been down with that. Everything I've ever been able to do professionally is because of you. It doesn't work one way. I couldn't do what I do. You couldn't do. I couldn't do what I've been able to do. You couldn't do what you've been able to do with our children and our home and everything else, which to me is just as important, actually more important than anything I'm able to do professionally.
Yeah.
Like knowing that your children are cared for and someone literally sacrificed their career trajectory in order to make that possible. Like that's nothing. That drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
When people treat that like I'm doing you a favor.
Right.
No, you're doing me a favor. You've put so much trust in me. And with great power comes great responsibility, right? In the words of Peter Parker's dad,
yes.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
I'm never going to let you down on that. Like you trusted me with literally like everything. Like I know how much, how vulnerable of a position I've put you in. I would never break that trust. Our primary credit cards in Paige's name, our finances, she has access to every single penny whenever she wants. We're in this together.
Yep, for sure.
If you're not doing it that way and you're a guy listening to this, you're fucking doing it wrong.
Yeah, we'll do an episode
one.
on that because I do feel like we could have a long conversation on it. But the last part of this is how do you start reclaiming your power? Like what do you do? What are the steps? And I'm just going to keep this pretty simple. We have an entire program that honestly will help you find the steps to get through all of this.
Tell them about the program, boss.
We have Independently Strong. It is not to help you. It's not about staying or leaving. It's about you and becoming strong independently within yourself and knowing who you are, learning to trust yourself again, making decisions with clarity, learning how to set boundaries. You get connected with people who are going through similar things that can give you some really sound advice on some of your next steps. We have a weekly call on Wednesdays for people who are enrolled in the program where they talk. Sometimes we have topics, sometimes they just talk about what's going on in their lives. It's been beneficial for people it's been beneficial in all aspects of their lives. It's not just within the relationship. It's really to help build yourself up to make decisions that align with your values and help you become who you truly want to be. And it's based on narcissistic abuse. Basically.
Yeah.
It is based on being in relationships with people who use a lot of these manipulative tactics. Not necessarily addiction. Yes, we talk about that, but it's mainly about the behavior. So we help you communicate in certain ways. We help you just really take the steps that you need to take or the steps that you want to take within your relationship.
For people who have the situation, the conditions right to rebuild a relationship, it will help you rebuild the strongest relationship of all time.
Yes, it will.
For people that are in a situation, they don't know what to do, but they feel like they shouldn't be in this dangerous situation, it will help you make a decision from a place of confidence, not fear, on how to get away from that. So it accomplishes both things. It's conditions, it's condition contingent, but at the end of it, you will be making decisions that align with your values. You won't be doing it because someone else told you to. You won't be doing it out of fear. You won't be doing it out of confusion.
Yes.
You'll be making the right decision based on what you want. You will learn to find yourself again.
Yeah. Even if you're out of the relationship, this will be beneficial for you as well.
So validating.
Because it will help you understand how the relationship has actually impacted you. And we validate the hell out of you and educate you, empower you, and help you on your own recovery journey. Yeah. So that's basically what I want to end with.
Yeah. And
I think unless you got something else, we got to go get a kid.
We built that course in conjunction with the licensed therapist, Dr. Christopher Taylor, the clinical architect that oversaw the creation of the course and vetted all the content and everything else. So it's not just us. This comes from a clinical expertise side as well. I want people to know that. And you can get 75% off that course. Anytime.
We offer payment plans as well.
Yeah, using the code
Wheelies 75.
Wheelies 75. Sorry.
You can either go to twfo.com or independentlystrong.com.
Yeah, Wheelies 75.
If you go to tufo.com, you can also sign up for the weekly newsletter that Matt sends out. There's a blog there. We have reading materials that you might want to check out. It's based on personal development, and we have merch up there. We have a few of these shirts left. I'm wearing my villain shirt. I cut it at the top. So my workout thing. Yeah. We do need to restock some stuff, but we've got a rock. We've got some stickers. We've got some sweatshirts, and I think that's it.
Yeah. Real quick on a couple of things that you can do. If you find yourself in a situation, you're not sure what to do and how to create some safety steps for yourself, it can be really beneficial for you later down the line. Document things.
And save important documents.
Important documents.
Open private email accounts. Start a hidden emergency fund if you have to. Like, even if you're throwing in $5 at a time, you need to put something up.
Keep a log of these incidents.
Yes.
When it comes to trauma bonds,
you're going to forget them.
Breadcrumbing, you will forget it.
Yep.
You will.
Journal.
Keep a journal. Keep a private journal.
Write it out.
Of these behaviors and these incidents.
Yep.
And reach out to someone safe. As always, we have a community, TUFO community, that was built for you. So you can connect with other people that get it. You never have to question if anyone there gets it. They get it because they're in your shoes too. Mm-hmm. Join our Facebook community. You will find people that you connect with on a level that you never dreamed you could. I promise you will find lifelong friends in there. And get to safety, focus on rebuilding some self-trust. The course can help you with that. So can working through this stuff with a therapist, listening to these episodes, journaling, reading, focusing on you again.
Yep.
This is where it starts. All right. Hate to truncate this episode and kind of abbreviate it, but I hope it was helpful for people.
I think it was great.
I think it could have been 2.5 hours.
I know we could still keep talking, but we're going to be late. We got to go.
All right. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.